Hi guys, welcome back to a new video. As many of you know, in August I traveled to Mexico together with my boyfriend and one of my friends for 16 days, and we traveled to Tulum, Cancun, Mexico City and Puerto Escondido. And in this video I'm gonna show you exactly how much I spent in Mexico on my trip, and also I'm gonna add timestamps so you can check out if there's like a specific place or specific part you want to check how much I spent there, then you can do that in the timestamps below. And just a side note, this is what I spent during the trip. So we were traveling in a group of 3, so there were naturally many things that we could share the cost of, such as groceries, Ubers, taxis, Airbnbs and hotels and so forth. Just a side note, but I'm gonna show you what I spent during this trip. And if I would travel to Mexico or anywhere else by myself, then I would probably choose to stay in hostels instead of Airbnbs and hotels, and also choose to use more public transportation options. We used a lot of Ubers and taxis since we were traveling in a group, so it was just more convenient and also quite affordable. So I have a Google sheet where I have put everything down that I spent during the trip. So I'm gonna just start the screen recording so you can see right here what I did spend during 16 days in Mexico. So firstly, let's talk about the total cost before diving deeper into what I spent in each place and each day. So the total cost of my Mexico trip was 1,840 euros and 22 cents. In Mexico, in total, I spent 601 euros and 40 cents. So that's what I spent. The total cost of the trip includes things that I purchased before the trip, before flying into Mexico, such as flight, hotels in the different areas that we stayed in, and also flights in Mexico. So the flights to and from Mexico, from Finland, from Helsinki, was 629 euros, and then we also had flights within Mexico from Mexico City to Cancun, which was 41 and 20. Then we had flights from Cancun to Puerto Escondido, which was 120 euros. Then we had flights from Puerto Escondido to Mexico City, which was 48 euros. So for flights in total, that was 839 euros and 33 cents. Then before our trip, we also booked all of our accommodations in Tulum, Puerto Escondido, Cancun and Mexico City. So that was in total 350 euros and 33 cents, with an average of about 22 euros a night. So I don't think that's bad at all, considering that we stayed in really nice Airbnbs and hotels during our trip. We spent one night in Mexico City when we flew into Mexico City very late, so that was 15 euros. That was the hostel really close to the airport, so we were able to walk there and back when the next day we then flew into Cancun. So if you're traveling from the United States or Canada into Mexico, then of course your flights will be cheaper than traveling from Finland. Now, when we have talked about how much I spent for the flights and accommodation to and from Mexico, we can dig a bit deeper here. So we spent 4 days in Tulum with a total of 259 euros, with a daily average of about 65 euros. We flew into Cancun, from where we took the ADO bus to Tulum, which was 300 Mexican pesos, so about 12 euros and 60 cents, and you can also see the United States dollars here. During the first night, we arrived quite late, so during the first night we did go and buy some groceries for breakfast stuff, so that was 22 euros. We had some food at Cancun airport, which was about 9 euros. Then the next day we decided to rent some bikes, which was about 6 euros a day, so we rented for 2 days, and that was then 12 euros. And here you can see we had some tacos and margaritas at Playa Paraíso. We had dinner at Antojitos, which was some tacos and beer, so that was very cheap. And then I had a margarita in the night, and that was about €5. And then we also visited some cenotes the next day then, and that was the entrance fees for cenote Calavera and Gran Cenote. So those were a bit more expensive than what I have anticipated, so I thought it would be a bit cheaper, but it was not, and luckily I did have enough pesos with me when we visited the cenotes. And that list goes on. Then we had some lunch. Tacos were €4 with a drink, and then we again went to Super Aki to buy some groceries for the next morning, which was €5 for my part. And we had some street food, and that was very cheap. We had some mezcal and margaritas at one place, so that was about €6. Then we decided to rent bikes for one more day, so I said that was €6 per day, so €6 here. We went to the Tulum ruins, so that was 80 pesos or about €3. And then we had some food, so again you can see kind of there were some activities, some food, and you can see all the prices here. Then we traveled from Tulum to Cancun for 2 nights with the ADO bus, so that was again 200 pesos. We had some pizza and beer by the pool at our hotel, so that was €6. We had some margaritas, dinner, and margarita and beer. Yes, I drank a lot of margaritas and a lot of beer during the Mexico trip, but what I did the most was eat tacos, all the tacos. And the tacos are cheap. So our first day in Cancun was €32. And please keep in mind that this is what I spent in Mexico. This does not include the accommodation. This is just activities and food and drinks and so forth in Mexico. So, and then the next day in Cancun we went to Isla Mujeres, so you can see the taxi price here for my part. Round trip ferry to Isla Mujeres. Then we rented a golf cart for 2 hours. We had some lunch and lemonade, and then we had some dinner in Cancun, so that was all for €47. Then we flew into Puerto Escondido, which was the place where we spent the most time in Mexico. So you can see our first night was very cheap. We just had some dinner, we just had some food at the airport, and then we had an airport taxi, which indeed was a total ripoff. He charged us 250 Mexican pesos when it should have been like 50 or 100 pesos, so that was a total ripoff. But anyway, €40 for the first day in when traveling to Puerto Escondido. The next day we went to have some groceries. We had breakfast at a coffee shop, and then we took some taxis. We had dinner, and then we had some drinks at Esmeralda, which is a very nice place with pool tables and good drinks. And that was a total of €48. The next day we spent at the beach, so we had some cold coconuts. We rented a beach lounge chair and also had some taco lunch and lemonade. So that was a day that costed us €15. It costed me €15. We also spent 1 day canyoneering, which was a pretty pricey activity, but definitely one that I would do again. It was so much fun, and that canyoneering day trip was about €42. Took a taxi from Puerto Escondido to Huatulco, but luckily there was another couple who wanted to travel there as well, so we shared the taxi, and that was about €9 for my part. And then we had some lunch, we had some torta and some juice, and we paid a bathroom fee at the bus station before driving to the canyoneering place. And then we took the bus from Huatulco to Puerto Escondido and had some tostadas and beer for dinner, and that was €69 for the whole day, including the canyoneering trip. And then here we had another beach day. We also went to La Punta for dinner, and that was a day of 27 euros. The last day in Puerto Escondido, we had a surf lesson. We had some tostadas and lemonade at the beach. We used some taxis again and went to the turtle release center at Playa Bacocha, and then had some tacos again for dinner. So that was a total of 52 euros with the surf lesson included. Our last stop was Mexico City. So there we took a taxi to the airport in Puerto Escondido, and as you can see, it was 30 pesos from my part, so about 50 cents. And a water bottle I bought at airport. We took a Uber in Mexico City to our Airbnb. We had some lunch burgers. We bought some water to the Airbnb. We didn't need to buy water to the Airbnb in Puerto Escondido because we had filtered water, so that was very lucky. The Airbnb had filter for the water, for the water, so we could drink the Airbnb water. And the first day we also had some dinner, tacos and beer, so that was a total of 19 euros for the first day in Mexico City. Then the next day we took a Uber to the bus station to get to Teotihuacan, and the bus round trip here was about 5 euros. I bought a Subway from Subway, like the sandwich. That was about 5 euros, so much cheaper than in Finland. Here it's about 9 euros for a 30 centimeter Subway. That's a big one. So not the half Subway, the big Subway. Teotihuacan entrance fee, which was about 3 euros, and then we had some tacos for dinner again, and that was about 5 euros with a drink. Then a Uber fee was about 1 euro. Next day we went to eat breakfast at a coffee shop, and that was 11 euros. We took a Uber to a museum, then we had a taxi, and we had a walking tour. It was a free walking tour, so it was tip based, so we paid a tip for about 10 euros. And then we had some dinner and took a Uber back to our Airbnb, so that was a total of 37 euros for a day in Mexico City. And then our last day we had a very expensive breakfast. It looked like a good place to have breakfast. It was not, very disappointing and very expensive, and it was just such a disappointment. That was 18 euros for me for a breakfast. That's very expensive. Then we took a Uber. All of us three needed to take that one because we were traveling before getting our vaccines. So COVID antigen test was about 30 euros. I bought some rings from a vintage shop, and then we had some beer and a Uber to the airport, and that was a total of 60 euros, including the COVID antigen test. So a total I spent on food and activities in Mexico, as said, 601 euro. So that makes a daily average of 37 euros. Now, let's get a bit more deeper here. So of course I spent everything in Mexico in pesos, so you can see the exchange rate right here. We had 4 different places. We spent 4 days in Tulum, 2 days in Cancun and Isla Mujeres, 6 days in Puerto Escondido, and 4 days in Mexico City. And here you can also see that I spent 259 euros in Tulum, 132 euros in Cancun, 522 euros in Puerto Escondido, and 232 euros in Mexico City. But these are prices in this first table here. You can see prices which include food, activities, transportation, flights in Mexico, and accommodation. So this is like the real daily budget. I would say this includes everything. So this is everything that I spent in Mexico. This does not include the flights to Mexico, but it includes flights in Mexico. So I think this is a good, if you're traveling from somewhere else, this is a good budget, because if you want to fly in Mexico, this is a very reliable budget in my opinion. So the total was 1,146 euros with a daily average of about 71 euros, so that's a good 70 to 75 euros I think is a good daily budget to have in Mexico. And here I also calculated the total without flights, so these prices here do not include the cost of flights within Mexico. So that's that. So that would make a average of 63 euros. So if you don't take any flights within Mexico, then a daily budget of about 60 euros would be fine. But then of course, if you're traveling to different places, you need to consider other transportation options that you might use. I have also here checked how much I spent on food, activities, transportation, accommodation and others. Other include bathroom fees and small shopping. I don't really shop a lot on my trips ever, so that's that. That was a total of 35 euros. So I spent the most on accommodation and transportation, with food coming in as a third and activities at 15%. So I think that's really interesting. The food in Mexico it can be very affordable if your main food option is like street food such as tacos, which I definitely recommend. The street tacos are so good and so affordable. And accommodation, you can definitely do this cheaper if you stay, for example, in hostels or cheaper hotels. There are definitely cheaper options available if you're traveling to Mexico. We had a kind of like a, not like a luxury, we didn't stay at the most expensive places, but they were very nice and we could have chosen cheaper places, but we decided that we wanted to have pools and in each place we wanted to have a nice place that was comfortable, so that cost us a bit more, but as we were traveling in a group of 3, it was still like okay range. As I said, it was 21 euros per night in average, so that I think is pretty good for my part. And transportation, the flights within Mexico, especially from Cancun to Puerto Escondido, was a bit more expensive, so that definitely increased the price of our trip. So guys, I hope this kind of gave you an idea of what you can imagine spending in Mexico if you're traveling there, and I hope this was an interesting video for you that gave you some kind of value. Maybe you wanted to see how much dinner was, so you know you can definitely survive with like 4 or 5 euro dinners with drinks included. You can definitely stay in Mexico for a lot cheaper. We were kind of doing this mid-range budget, which I really like to do, and we also chose to do some more expensive activities like the canyoneering trip and also the surfing lesson, which was a bit more expensive than the usual museums and cenotes. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. That really supports my channel and my YouTube journey. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!